Do you want a higher credit score? I've got 8 tips to get you there.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
If you've ever tried to rent an apartment or get a mortgage or get a credit card, you know your credit score really matters. I'm Carrie Joy, the founder of WorkMoney. I've made a career working to put regular folks like you and me in control of our money. And today, we are fixing credit scores, starting with the most basic, most impactful things that you can do to boost your score, and then we're going to get into some of the more advanced stuff. Let's go. Tip number 1, pay your bills on time. This is the thing that affects your credit score the most. Yes, it's basic, so just do it. Pay your bills by their due date and don't miss payments. Tip number 2, hold on. Before we go on, I've got a question. What even is a credit score? At the most basic level, it's a rating of how likely you are to pay back a loan. Banks and credit cards need a way to tell if they can trust you with money before they lend it to you, and your credit score gives them an answer, or it's supposed to. Here's where the score comes from. When you use credit, like charging stuff on a credit card or getting a mortgage at a bank, the info about what you borrowed and when you paid it back gets sent to 3 credit bureaus. These are private companies that track detailed financial information on every single American. Creepy, right? The bureaus then do a workup on your financial life, and then they spit out a report on you with a number between 300 and 850, and that is your credit score. Why is that the scale? Who knows? Probably to make it seem more sciencey or something. But what's important to know is that scores over 670 are considered good. Over 800 is excellent. And then the bureaus sell that report to your bank or landlord or anyone who's thinking about lending you money or trusting you with a contract like a lease. And that is how the credit bureaus get rich off your data. Now, why do these 3 companies get to decide whether you are worthy of credit? Honestly, there's just not that great of a reason. They're not government agencies. They're certainly not elected. They just cornered a really good hustle, and that's kind of that. Nobody loves the system. Except for the guys getting rich off it. But it's the one we've got. Tip number 2, ask for a higher credit limit. Your credit limit is just the amount your credit card's going to let you borrow. To get the best credit score, you want to use your credit consistently, but only a small percentage of your limit. In general, it's best to keep your usage under 30% of your credit limit. And for an excellent score, that probably has to be closer to 10%. So getting your card to raise your limit is going to make this a lot easier. For example, if you spend $3,000 on a credit card with a limit of $5,000, you're using 60% of your credit, and the bureau bozos don't like that. But if you raise your limit to $10,000, now you're using only 30% of your limit. Much better. To raise your limit, just call your credit card company and ask. If you've had the card a while and you pay regularly, they'll often just bump your limit for the asking. And this is important. When you get that higher limit, it's not permission to go and spend more money. Keep your spending low so your credit usage drops and your credit score will go up. Tip number 3. Check your credit report for errors. Believe it or not, the 3 credit bureaus that track your personal data for their financial gain, they get stuff wrong, kind of all the time, and it can have a big impact on your score. For example, they might still be tracking a debt that you've already paid off, or they might literally confuse you with somebody else. It happens. So check your report yourself. Go to annualcreditreport.com. The bureaus are legally required to use this website to give you a free copy of your credit report. Don't use a different site. It's probably a scam. Just use annualcreditreport.com. Whatever you do, read the report, and what you're looking for is anything you don't recognize. If you do find a charge that seems unfamiliar, especially a credit account on your report that you didn't know about, call your mom. Call your spouse. Seriously. Somebody may have added you to one of their accounts, like on an emergency family credit card, for example. And if they did that, it's going to show up on your report, even if you've never used it and you don't know about it. It happens all the time, so double check. Now, if you find a real error, you have to tell the credit bureau they got it wrong. I got a link in the description from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that has all the details on how to file those disputes. So check your report, get any mistakes removed, and get that score up. Tip number 4. Get a ride on somebody else's credit. This is especially helpful if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of credit history. Ask a family member with good credit if they would add you to their credit card as an authorized user. My daughter just did this with me to help build her credit. And this does 2 things. 1, the third biggest factor the credit bureau looks at when scoring you is just the length of your credit history. Longer history, better credit. So getting added to an older account can really help your score. Second, it increases your available credit, basically raising your overall credit limit. Boost your credit limit, but not your spending, so your credit score goes up. And by the way, if your mom or dad does add you to an account, give them a call. say thanks, especially if I'm your mom. Tip number 5, make payments strategically. Okay, you already know that paying your bills on time really matters for your credit score. Pay your bills by their due date and don't miss payments. But if you want to become a real credit nerd, set up autopay with your bank to pay your credit card off early, like a week before the due date. Or even nerdier, even better, set up multiple automatic payments through the month so that your credit balance is always low. This guarantees that whenever your credit card company sends your data to the credit bureaus, they're showing you with a low balance. And remember, you want your card balance to be under 30% of your credit limit and under 10% if you really want to get to that excellent score. So set up those auto payments and give your credit score a boost. Tip number 6, don't open too many accounts at once. Look, I love me some airline miles and Disney points, but don't go signing up for too many credit cards too fast. When you apply for a new credit card or a loan or an apartment, the company will pull your file from one of the bureaus, and that is called a hard pull. Hard pulls temporarily hurt your credit. Now, if you do need a new card, don't stress about it too much. Your score is going to take a hit from the hard pull, but it will recover in a few months. Just don't overdo it and open a bunch of accounts in a short period. Tip number 7, consider a secured card. We all know the classic chicken and egg problem. You need a credit card to build good credit, but you have bad credit, so you can't get a credit card. So what do? Enter the secured card. Secured cards are a special type of credit card that's easier to get than a regular credit card. It's like a prepaid phone, but for credit. The card company will have you make a deposit, usually a few $100s. Then you get a card with a limit that matches your deposit. It's super low risk for them because they've already got your money, so it's easy to qualify. Use your secured card like any other credit card, just making sure to keep your balance low and pay it off at the end of every month. And after a few months, the card issuer will upgrade you to a regular card and return your deposit. And since the card issuer reports you to the bureaus, your credit score will go up. So if you're in credit card jail, a secured card may be your ticket out. Tip number 8, get out of collections. First off, if you're in collections, I am so sorry. You are not alone. Also, if you're in collections, it is the thing to tackle first because it is crushing your credit score. I've talked to so many people going through this. Millions of Americans face debt collections every year, especially for medical debt, and that feeling of shame or paralysis can just be so overwhelming. So let's talk about what to do. First off, paying off a debt in collections can give you a big, immediate boost on your credit score. Second, you can always negotiate with your collection agency. You can ask them to lower the interest rate. You can negotiate over the payment plan, how long you have to pay it back or even how much you have to pay. You might not get everything you want, but it never hurts to ask. And they'd rather get something from you than nothing. One thing to request from the collector is that they stop reporting your debt to the bureaus once you pay it off. That can immediately help your score. And then, of course, after you get that debt paid off, tell the credit bureaus yourself. Don't trust the collector to do it for you, even if they said they would. And if it's not coming off your report, use the link below for info on how to file your dispute. Those are my tips for boosting your credit score. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tried any of these approaches yourself? What's worked? What hasn't? What'd we leave out? Let me know in the comments and take good care.